Hey everyone, welcome to the Brave Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Jena Rodriguez, and I am your brand, business, and brave strategist. And I love helping entrepreneurs get their brave on and figure out strategically how to do that in their business, not only to build a brand that they're really proud of, but also how to profit enhance and make the money that they desire so they can have more freedom. So that's what I'm about. But let me share with you. Thank you so much, Katherine, for being here. This is our guest today, Katherine Dean. How are you?
Hi, Jena. I'm so glad to be here tonight because I know just from our brief 5-minute conversation, we have a lot in common about being brave, being out there, showing ourselves in an industry where so often we can be held back a little bit. So I'm really excited to talk to you today and talk to you about all of this.
Yeah,
so
me too. I'm excited. Yeah. We were having fun before the call and I was like, we got to hit the record button on this.
Yes.
So, so tell everybody a little bit, just specifically what your business is and how you help people so they can connect with you.
Well, I am completely enthralled with talking about money, and I know it's kind of an odd subject to talk about, but I am a certified financial planner. I do wealth management, but also have a business called Living Your Worth, Inc., because I find so often people, especially women, hold themselves back from their worth. And so that is really where I work with people to have a completely healthy mindset with money, to be able to charge the prices that they want to charge with their programs, and to be out there in the world and owning their worth and owning their knowledge and their capabilities and sharing that with the world. So that is what I do. So really exciting. I love the wealth management part, but there was this little inkling inside of me that was eating at me because I knew that I had to share this message because I do work with a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs and professionals. And what I did was take all the tips and tools along the way, and almost I was always coaching them, right? And how could I bring this into a bigger forum in a space where I wasn't necessarily working with people? So that's where I started to shift a little bit of what I was doing.
I love it. I love it. And you and I definitely have that conversation about elevating your value, right? Like your perceived value, because I think it's such a powerful conversation. And I've had to go through it myself, like I didn't charge what I was worth. And I think that, we were talking before where my story is I was in a corporate job and I was doing pretty well. I mean, if you're getting close to like 70, 80,000 a year, it's not bad. But after like 8 years being a controller and just kind of feeling like I'm capping out, like I didn't want to go down the path that they wanted me to go down. And I felt like, why I can make more than this on my own. Like I've got to be able to do this. And of course, it took me a while to get even past that threshold, but I was at least living on my own terms and determining my own worth at some level. And so just that conversation is really powerful. What have you struggled with in your world called worth and, and really stepping into it?
Well, can I tell you a little bit about my story and how I came about getting into wealth management? I grew up in a household. I had very successful parents that were entrepreneurs, business owners, real estate investors, but no matter how much money they actually made, they constantly fought about money. So the conversation would be like, my mom would say, oh, we're having this party. Can I go get a new dress? And my mother would hear no from my father. Not that my father was a bad person by any stretch of the imagination.
Sure.
A very scarcity mindset, even though they were making multiple 6 figures a year. So that's what I grew up with. So I'm thinking, wow, you got to make millions a year in order to be happy with money, right? Because that was what I grew up with.
Got it.
I went to undergrad for marine biology. I graduated, killed myself for a 5-year program. I finished in 4 years to come to find out that I actually should be in business because that's what I knew. That's what I really enjoyed. So after all that, I went and got my MBA and instantly got into the wealth management business. I started out in operations and really the reason why I started out in operations was because, and like really being an assistant to a managing director was, I was terrified to make the leap into owning who I was, right? I wasn't brave enough at the time. I was like, well, I didn't go to school for this, so how do I even know what I'm doing? Although the ticker was on my screen every day growing up. So I got into the business, and then what I started to do, I got my MBA, and then I started to get into understanding investments more, and then running a division and really owning who I was and owning my capabilities. So at 25, I got into management. And then from there, it just kind of expanded into work. Like I'm working with an incredible wealth management team where, we manage a significant amount of money now and also doing this. But along the way in 2010, I was married, 2 young kids, 1 and 3. And date night, as you know, is really special when you have young children. There's no diapers and there's no potty breaks. So I went on date night. It was a Tuesday after Mother's Day, and we're sitting there eating, and my spouse at the time said, I need a break. And I was like, wait, come again? Like, we have a 1 and a 3-year-old in a 2-family income house. Like, what do you mean I need a break? And
right.
It really, what it turned into was, which I knew my spouse at the time, that meant divorce. It was just an easy way of letting Katherine down. And I had to make ends meet, and I had to really kick it up a notch, right? And
right.
I needed to supplement that extra income that was coming in to keep my house and keep food on the table and make sure my kids were taken care of. So within the next year and over the course of the last 7 years, I have tripled my income. I've started 2 additional businesses. I own, real estate and passive income. So I really understand how to play that real estate game. And understanding my worth, because I was significantly working for less money because I knew I just needed to make ends meet at the time. And then when I realized, no, this isn't what it's about. Like, I have all these tools and these resources, and I started to, I hate to say it, break out of the shell, and I have the Wonder Woman sign on and own it. That was when I started to really break free from the shackles of my own limitations.
Right.
And faced and had the hard conversations and knew where I was going, and started to speak around the country and empower other women to own their worth and to start actually creating, a portfolio and owning, living into that worth. And if you want to own a business, so you don't necessarily have to leave right away. You can own 2 things at the same time, and you can
right.
be entrepreneurial, and you can be creative and own who you are as a person. And that shines through in life, right? And once people see that and they start to understand who you are, because this is kind of new for people, right? They're looking at you going, who the heck is this person? Where did they, how did they get their brave on? Like, how did this happen for them?
Yeah.
And when people see that, they see that transformation in you. People want that, and they want to be that themselves. And so I enjoy going around the country and speaking and being on platforms and enjoy having the sharing of women empowering women. It's such an incredible movement when you get out of the women putting women down and you start to empower each other. Incredible things happen. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, you and me both, just getting our brave on all the way. I didn't used to say brave. I used to never speak about brave until I'm like, what have I always done in my life, that's gotten me to the next level or to the next thing, and the next level of success or whatever, among the failures. And it was like, it's brave. It's like, I get my brave on, so that's, you emulate that very well. And, and it's like circumstances and other people's decisions. Clearly, I'm sure you didn't expect a divorce or what have you, but it just you have to still take control of what you can control and choose a new path for yourself, and continue to break the cycle. And I think it's really powerful.
Without a doubt. And I know you're talking about your corporate environment. Like, I'm in an industry where we, women, they have not significantly grown in the industry I'm in. So, and there is also, I don't have it on today because it's silver, but I usually wear a glass ceiling necklace, and I wear that every time I look down. It reminds me of, no, we've broken that now. Like, we have the opportunity to be and do anything we want to do. And once you embrace that, you can become extremely powerful, and facing the fear and being brave is what it's all about. So,
yeah. I second that.
Awesome.
Quote that one for sure. And I think, this conversation, so I was trying to remember what my question was, because I got it when you were speaking to, empowering women, is what is the one or the first step, so you speak, like me, we go around the country, we speak. Mm-hmm. What is that first actionable step that you give people to connect to their worth? I'm just curious, because I got one too, but I want to hear what this is.
The first thing I talk to people about, well, there's 2 things. So when it comes to financial mindset, I say have a financial mindset journal, and just start jotting down your thoughts around money. Like if you hear the word money or you hear the word invest or anything along those lines, what emotions come up for you? So that's number one. So it's kind of a twofold thing. The second thing is, which is extremely hard for anybody that hasn't actually done this, write an affirmation statement to yourself of the person you want to be in a year from now. And you take that, you read it to yourself in the mirror and actually look at yourself in the eyes twice a day. You'd be surprised the emotion that comes out of it. I remember the first time I did it, I looked at myself in the mirror and I literally sobbed because I thought, God, you've been living so small your whole life. Like you haven't owned who you are. And eventually it does get easier and your affirmations do change over time, right? Because you eventually
should.
Within, although I say a year, within a few months, you'll see there's a huge transformation. And then, you rewrite it. You're like, wait, holy crap, I'm at that stage right now. Where do I want to go next? And then you rewrite another one and you see yourself go from here where, it's like that whole Me Too movement right now. And so many, and including myself, have dealt with adversity and have dealt with this a lot in our lives. And once all the things and what people say about you, and you may not, you're going to fail at this, or you're not going to achieve this. And when you don't allow that to penetrate who you are, and you own who you are, and you start to move from there, it just becomes an incredible movement for yourself, right?
Yeah, sure.
People see that around you. So yeah, the affirmation is such an incredible exercise. I laugh because I remember the first time, I just remember like I had mascara on, it wasn't waterproof. I was like, what was that? Like I turned into this puddle of a mess because I was thinking, God, why didn't anybody say this for me over time? I'm like, no, you have to own who you are.
Yeah. Nobody else can define it really for you.
No, they certainly can define you and bring you down. I mean, all the voices that come around you all the time, but the worst voice is the one in your head that believes what people say about you, right? Or believe all that influence around you. And when you start owning who you are and you're around those type of people, like change the influence and change the people around you that are going to lift you and bring you to the next level. So yeah. I know I've given 3 things, but
no, it's good. Whatever.
Yeah,
every one of them is great. I mean, because and I'm with you. It's like I was just like having this conversation with my husband, I think yesterday, is just noticing some specific people, that I'm like just hearing in my space, that I'm like, why am I like, what is it about their way of being with me? Or like, what are they saying that that's either triggering me, or it's like not okay with me, or like what's going on. And basically it's the difference between someone that says, you got this, Jena, you got this, you can do this, Katherine, you got this, go do it. Just you believe in yourself, you've got the energy, you've got the capability, you've got the skills, you got it, you just got to figure out the how. And like, there's that voice, right? So, and whether it's in your head or someone else's. And then there's these other external voices that are like, I'm just really worried that you're wearing yourself out, and, maybe you should take time off and, slow down, and just like, I'm in the prime of my life. I'm like, that's not empowering to me, and they don't know better. It's not they're intentionally they're just, it's like they'd rather be worried about me than supporting me and how I choose to be supported. What I also heard in my head was I need to communicate what support looks like.
Yes. Yeah, right? For sure.
If they're not someone you want to eliminate from your life, and this person is not, then it's a matter of like, how do you articulate what support looks like? Because sometimes they just don't know any better, but it was just this really strong reflection of, that's why I feel the way I feel in the conversations with that person versus this other person, is they're not in the support mode. They're not like just cheerleading. They're like worry and fear and bringing you down. And it's like, no, I sleep on the weekends. I'm good.
Yeah.
I sleep every night. Actually, I have no problem sleeping.
That's awesome because you love what you're doing, and
I love what I'm doing.
Yeah,
that's right. I sleep and eat and breathe this stuff, and I still sleep at night.
Right, which is awesome. And I think that also is reflective of living into who you are and living into your worth, because when you own what you do and you love what you do and you're infectious and you see transformation in the people your clients that you're working with, it keeps the momentum going. You're living in the zone. You're not worn down because you're loving what you're doing. And I get the same thing. There are a few people in my life, slow down, don't do this. And also I think part of it is they don't really understand this world of working with people around the world. They don't understand it. It's not familiar to you. They're used to, you go to an office, you meet with people, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's a whole big billions of people out there that, I know with affecting transformation with money and empowering yourself with money and building your $1 million legacy. That just doesn't happen overnight. You need somebody that's going to hold the space and teach you how to get there. Right. So,
that's right.
Yeah. So, but I get what you're talking about. And these aren't people you want to get rid of. It's just they don't quite understand what you need in support.
Exactly.
They don't understand even what you do, so I'm not sure how to support.
Like, how do you support something you aren't familiar with?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's good though, and I think you said this earlier. It's like if you have any naysayers, or if you have people that are less than supportive, or they're saying things that are not so positive, it really begins with you, because only you. If you already believe it about yourself, of course it's going to penetrate, right? It's going to suck you in. But it's like, check in with your belief system.
Oh yeah.
You already believe about you, and nothing else can affect you if you don't let it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah.
So to shift gears back to, you've started this business and you're doing all kinds of things. You've started multiple businesses, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Where was the downslide? Like, what's been the hardest challenge or the bravest moment during this, entrepreneurial journey for yourself?
Cool. Okay. Probably the bravest moment for me was when I say this because failure has always been a big challenge for me. And if you hear my dog barking, I apologize. I don't know if you can hear it.
I can't hear it.
Okay, good.
My phone would be quiet right now.
Okay. So, but that biggest challenge was, it wasn't, my father had passed away. I'll explain, right before my daughter was born.
Yeah.
And that wasn't as much of a challenge as my divorce, because what happened with divorce was, for me, failure. And I was inadequate. I wasn't living up to somebody's expectations. Was I not a good mom? Like, all these things started really engulfing who I was and took the entire life out of me. Although I was being as supportive as I could for my children, I didn't even tell anybody for a week because I felt like such a failure. So the bravest moment was actually realizing failure is a good thing, because failure is what catapults you to the next level. But being in the moment of failure and, just accepting that you failed at something, and for me, I'm remarried and very happy, and with somebody actually that I used to hang out with prior to getting married. So it's kind of funny how life goes in full circle.
Right.
But to deal with that failure was the biggest pivotal moment in my life. What it did was it allowed me to transform who I was. My conversations with my clients completely transformed, because I was doing it very analytical. Like, okay, if you save this amount, this was oriented, instead of saying, well, what do you want from your financial future? Let's talk about your goals. I'll tell you how to get there, but let's talk about what you really want from retirement. Like, what do you really want in the next 10 to 20 years?
Yeah.
Is it a house, an addition? Do you want investment properties? Like, what is it that you really want to achieve? You work really hard. How can we get that money working for you? And my entire process of how I work with people changed. Because I was actually human. Like, my life wasn't perfect, and I fell on my rear end, and I became this individual who I didn't even expect and know I could be. So that was the pivotal moment in my life. That was really the like the, oh crap, my eye twitch for 6 months moment of, where do I go from here? Yeah.
Right.
And that's what this whole, female money empowerment thing came from, because I felt, geez, if I could do it myself after coming out of that, what could I help other people do? You could have all the certifications in the world, but if you don't know how to have a human conversation, that it kind of goes out the window,
Yeah.
So
and I think that's really powerful, because it's, we have to be human. We have to really tap into the human side of us and go, we don't have this all figured out, guys. We're I was just talking to my team yesterday, And the difference between like 5 years ago and now is that I can recognize fear, or I can recognize like, ooh, this is like my next brave thing. You know, like I got to get my brave on. I recognize it faster. You know, like before it would just like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Like, you know, and be in this like whirlwind of a spin, you know, like just chatter and, you know, like BS basically. And so yesterday, I mean, now it's like when I'm up against like, I don't know how to do something. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know where to go. I know I want this goal, but I don't know exactly, you know, I like go into that spin a little bit. I just got quiet and I'm like, this is just what my next brave is. You know, like I just like took my own advice, right? Yeah. And so I think that's the benefit of like going through failures or going through the down times. Like this year has been, you know, for me, like a deconstruction year. It's been, I've changed things, you know, my money didn't like go up, it went down a little bit, and that's okay. I mean, nothing, you know, I still hired team. I still, you know, I did things, but I rebranded. I mean, I did things, but it was kind of this deconstruction year of like doing it differently and figuring myself out. And then a new business showed up. Like I'm a partner in a new business that's going to launch next year. And, you know, like, yeah, it's incredible, right? But it's like, if I had not gotten kind of quiet and deconstructed a little bit, then would that even have had space to show up in, you know? So I could look at this year and go, well, the numbers don't, you know, look like I failed or look like I went down instead of up, or, you know, I could go into all that headspace. But I think like any kind of downslide or whatever perception we're putting on a perceived failure, I think it's what's next. I think it's what's going to make us more human and make us more ready to serve the next person.
Oh, for sure. Like for sure.
What you go through serves the person that's coming forward.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting that you said that now you recognize it quicker. And that actually, when I speak to, because I do work with entrepreneurs and with the money cash flow, right?
Yeah.
And also that, you know, 1 year you can make a ton of money, but make sure you're putting some of that money to work for you. You're not, you know, you're not just expanding this huge business that might not be sustainable. So, but what's so cool is, and I like to kind of draw this, is like the first one is like this, and then it takes you a really long time, but then it gets shorter and shorter. And then all of a sudden, like your peaks are so much higher because you recognize it better, you know, and when you do, and you're like, oh God, like you said, that brave moment becomes fun. Whereas you dreaded it before, right? Now all of a sudden it's like, ooh, what's coming my way now? Like now you're like excited for what's coming forth versus being dreading it, you know? So that quiet moment, I love that. I love that you say, you know, you just sit in that quiet moment of, I can't wait to see what's next.
It's like reframe this, because this doesn't have to be a bad thing right now. You know, but it takes practice. You know, and sometimes I even lean on my team. I have a great team leader, and, you know, she just lets me like brain dump. You know, and so she and I, that's part of what spurred the moment was, you know, and I was in that, and she even gave me some support and some more words of encouragement. I'm like, I love this girl, you know, and it's like, but that's who you got to surround yourself with, is like, she's like, you got this, you know, you're going to figure it out. And I'm like, okay, she's right. Like, I just need to take a moment and be quiet about it. But, and I don't have it all figured out. I don't have all the strategies laid out, you know, like that's coming, like, and I'm in the process of figuring all that out for next year. But, if you can't stop and be quiet enough to really hear the insights, you know, that are coming through, then I think, you know, that's when we get in trouble. That's when we suffer through.
I'm very spiritual, and I believe in, you know, what's that next sign that's coming my way? And the slowdown was your sign. Like all of a sudden it was like, ooh, okay, so what's being created? And then when you figure out the strategy, right, you'll be like, well, now that we achieved that one, now we're going to work on another one. And that's what's so great about owning a business, is it evolves, and you can be creative and you can grow it. And that's what becomes so interesting about it, right? Because if it were mundane, you wouldn't want it. You'd be back in corporate life.
No, that's what I left. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to shoot myself if I have to live in this cubicle for another 10 years. Like, get me out of the cubicle. But, so good. So good. Hold
on. Okay.
Sorry. The cough is coming. So another question I have for you is, in the space of, you know, getting your brave on and things like that, and, you know, fear in general, what do you do, like, practically to deal with fear yourself?
I know fear, there isn't a time that I walk on a stage or sometimes I do presentations, workshops, or, I'm in front of a big audience those butterflies don't start. And, what I do is, and I love it because Brene Brown, I don't know if you've read her new book, but it's been,
I bought it.
Oh, okay. So it's been, I've read a lot of her stuff and I follow her and listen to a lot of the stuff that she says, but it's actually when that moment comes up, I'm like, oh, okay. Now I recognize it as fear. Whereas that's what actually stopped me from doing everything.
Yes.
Now it's like, if I face this fear, what is going to come next? Like, it's kind of like a internal challenge for me. So I recognize those weird, funny emotions, and everybody, my thing is my hands start to sweat, which is so uncomfortable because then you shake people's hands. You're like, oh, here we go. So it's completely vulnerable.
You bring gloves, right? You bring gloves with you.
I bring gloves, or I have a tissue in my pocket. I know it's like as much as I can do, but so that's, and when that happens, I acknowledge it. Whereas I used to kind of, not that I ignored it, I allow it to dictate my life. And that was awful because I think about it. God, if you started this, how much longer? I said, no, don't get into that space because this is exactly where you're supposed to be. Like, I'll go, well, if I did this 20 years ago, and I'm like, no, that's not where you're supposed to be at. But because life can be a lot of fun if you embrace the fear, right? And you yourself. So practically, what I practically do, like when you say it's a practical, what do you do? I acknowledge it. I don't suppress it. I acknowledge it. And I'm like, oh, here you are again, but we're going to charge forth and we're going to move on, Yeah. And fear is there on purpose, right? It's like that reptilian brain. It's there to protect you. And when you feel a little threatened, or you're going to be in front of 150 people on stage, or you're going to be doing a workshop and there's all these eyes looking at you, and, there is a little bit of fear there, but once you are vulnerable and you are who you are, I think it just becomes natural after a while.
Yeah. Or just, it's just like part of the plan.
Right.
It doesn't, it can be acknowledged and not resisted. Right?
Exactly.
Just be a part of, and I love what you just said about, how you can create the fun out of fear, and it's like play a game with yourself, or do something that's going to break that cycle, because that's all it is. It's not real,
Yeah. And women, especially, I think they, from that fear, hold themselves back from so much. It's almost like you want to give yourself a fear hug. I know it sounds funny, but just embrace it and do the thing that you're most fearful of. And I can tell you, there is one thing that I'm terrified of doing. I haven't faced it. I thought I'm 41 this year. Like this year I turned 41. I said, when I'm 40 is zip lining.
Oh, I did it. I finally did it.
You did it. That is I'm terrified of heights. I'm like, oh my God, what happens if the thing breaks? I'm terrified of all that. And that's the one fear. My kids are not tall enough yet, but as soon as they're tall enough, I'm going to do it because I don't want them to be fearful. I want them to, face their challenges. So as soon as my youngest is tall enough, they're 9 and 11 right now, that's when I'm going to do, like, I know it. I'm not avoiding it. I want you to
send me a picture.
Okay. It's going to be all over Facebook because I'm going to be like, oh my God, I finally did it. I did it.
Tag me. I'm like, tell me when, and I love that. It's like, what is the brave things that you're doing on a daily basis or annually or whatever? It's like, I always say brave daily because there's always something, even if it's picking up the phone because you're afraid to pick up the phone, or, call a sales prospect, or it's call your mom because you don't know what you're afraid of what she's going to say, or it's ziplining. Like there's always something that can stretch us, to the next point. And the more we stretch, that's why it's faster for me. I don't know if this is true for you.
Oh yeah.
How I'm faster about recognizing stuff is because I've stretched over and over and over.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Because you became somebody you weren't before, right?
Correct.
That's what's so cool is like you step into this incredible person and you look like, it's almost like you look back and say, wait, remember when I feared that? And that's what it is. As you expand and expand and expand, it becomes easier and easier and easier.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying and that's why and the other big person that I love to follow is Richard Branson, because I'm like,
yeah, me too. Oh my God, he's doing it every day.
How am I going to send people into space without going through NASA or going, through overseas in Europe. Like, how am I going to send people to space? I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to build something that's going to send people there. Like, me, on the other hand, I'd be like, first of all, I don't think I want to ever go to space. I love nature and stuff. I don't want to be in a capsule. That's just like, that doesn't get me excited.
Right.
But if you said to me, like, we're going to go live on an like abandoned island for a month, I'd be there in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
like,
I'll go with you.
I can snorkel and I can do this. Like, maybe it'll be a retreat one day. Maybe we'll be at his place one day. We'll be at a retreat on his place in the Caribbean, and we'll be doing that and just enjoying, snorkeling or whatnot.
Let's go to Necker Island. Let's do it.
Yes.
Richard, are you listening?
Richard, if you're listening, you have a ton of entrepreneurial women that want to come there and enjoy your island. So
yes, for sure.
come visit you. We would love to learn from you, right?
Oh yeah, he's one of my idols for sure. Yeah. And I think even more so, he braves every day. Like, he's probably had more near death experiences than I would rather not have. But speaking of ziplining, so I've jumped out of an airplane when I was like 20 years ago. Okay. I finally ziplined, and I just have to tell you, I was going up, I didn't pick the one in the middle of the forest, right? Like that. I picked a little lower, it's closer to the ground. So do that. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to go big unless you want to.
Yeah.
But, I was walking up the stairs to get to the platform to jump off, and I was like, don't think just to, don't think just to, don't think just to. I was saying it over and over and over because I physically, and I'm like, I did it 3 times, but I literally had to do the mantra every single time because it just is a sensation of sitting on the edge of thing and like just pushing yourself off. It's not normal. And it was so much fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so you definitely have to do that.
Okay, cool. I can't wait.
Yeah, and I'm pretty good with heights actually. Like, thank God, but still, it was uncomfortable. It was not like, this is not what I do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so it was really exciting at the same time.
Awesome.
So this has been so powerful. I love what you're up to. Obviously, we do have a lot in common, and just having this conversation, I think, is got to be continued. Meaning empowering women. Men, we're not leaving you out by any means, but you and me both are passionate about helping women connect to that value, and what you say about really touching their worth, right? Like being with their worth, living in their worth. Yeah. And so I just highly recommend people connect with you. So I'd love for you to share how that is possible.
Yeah, that would be great. To give a little feel for my beginners program, it's at wealthtofreedomformula.com. Okay. You can connect with me at Katherine, which is spelled KATHERINE, at wealthtofreedomformula.com. Or if you want to start with your wealth building plan over the next year, you can go to wealthtofreedomroadmap.com and you can get a free gift from me to get started right away. So those are the 7 simple steps to start wealth building.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on today. What you're doing is incredible. So I thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. You too. And if we can play together in some other space, I would love that. I think you're, awesome. You definitely are in the right space, and I just love how brave you've been in your life, overcoming things and continuing to face fears and all of that. And if you're definitely an example for people. So keep with it, and I'll be one of your biggest cheerleaders. So keep
Thanks,
going.
Jenna. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I think for anyone listening, we are your cheerleaders. So it's like, reach out to Katherine, reach out to me. That's who you need in your corner. When you can't face the chatter in your own head, or you're dealing with naysayers, you're dealing with people that just really don't support your vision. That's what we're here for. That's why the show exists, is to keep you in the game. Because clearly for me, and I think Katherine as well, entrepreneurship is full of potentiality. You get to choose how big or how small, and step into your full worth, as she would say. So let's do it together. And thank you so much, Katherine, for being here. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. And like I always say, let's go get our brave on, and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.